voice cracking. I think we changed. The colors around them shifted. Eden no longer glowed with soft, living light. Shadows stretched where shadows had never existed. The wind carried a low tremor, not a song. The trees seemed to retreat from them, as though the garden itself sensed the fracture. Adam looked at Eve again and saw her. Truly saw her. Not just beauty, but fragility. Not just innocence, but vulnerability. A sudden awareness of their nakedness crawled over their skin, harsh and accusing. They grabbed leaves, instinctively covering themselves, confused and ashamed of a feeling they didn't have a name for. Why do I feel like this? Eve asked, tears forming. Adam didn't know. He couldn't. Then the sounds of Eden changed. The gentle hum of life became an uneasy silence. Birds that once sang now hid within trembling branches. The river, once steady and warm, cooled as if recoiling from them. Creation was reacting, and in the middle of that collapsing calm, Adam felt something far worse than fear. Distance, the warm closeness of God, the constant presence woven into every breath was suddenly dim, like a light fading behind a closing door. Adam grabbed Eve's trembling hand. Eve, something's coming. The air thickened before they heard. Anything like the sky itself was drawing breath. Adam felt the hairs rise along his arms. Eve clutched his hand more tightly, her pulse racing against his skin. Something was shifting in the garden, something vast and heavy, like a storm forming without clouds. Then came the sound. Not footsteps, not wind, a presence, the same presence that once filled them with joy and warmth, now pressed against their hearts with unbearable weight. The voice of God echoed through Eden, not in anger at first, but in sorrow so deep it made the trees tremble. Adam, where are you? The words were gentle, but they shook Adam to his core. He had heard God speak 1,000 times, each one like sunlight on water. But now, the sound carved him open, because for the first time, he wanted to hide. He pulled Eve behind a cluster of broad leaves, both of them trembling. Their breathing felt loud, shaky, wrong. Shame wrapped around them like thorns. Again, the voice came, not demanding, calling, grieving. Adam, where are you? Adam's throat tightened. He stepped out slowly, knees weak, Eve close behind him. He couldn't meet God's gaze, not because God was wrathful, but because Adam had never felt so painfully aware of himself, his flaws, his fear, his nakedness. I heard you, Adam whispered, eyes lowered, and I was afraid, because I was naked. So there was a silence long enough for Adam to hear the river shifting, the leaves trembling, the ache in his own chest. Who told you that you were naked? The question pierced straight through him. Eve squeezed his hand, her breath shaking. Adam opened his mouth, but no words came. Shame strangled them. God spoke again. Quieter now, grief woven into every syllable. Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat from? Adam's voice cracked. The woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit, and I ate. The moment the words left him, he hated them, hated the way they sounded, like he was placing the weight on. Even when he knew the truth, he chose. He chose her. He chose the bite. He chose the fall. God turned to Eve. What have you done? Tears streamed down her face. The serpent deceived me, and I ate. The garden groaned. A deep, aching sound rippled through creation, like the earth itself mourning. Colors dimmed. Flowers wilted at the edges. The light that once danced so freely now flickered faintly, as though wounded. God's sorrow felt like an entire sky crying. Then his voice changed, not colder, but heavier. The weight of justice and love in the same breath. The ground is changed. The world is changed. And you, my children, can no longer stay. Eve sobbed. Adam's shoulders collapsed. But before despair swallowed them completely, God spoke one more time, soft, steady, like a seed planted in the dark. Yet from your lineage, one will come who will crush the serpent's head. Hope small, trembling broke through the grief like dawn. The garden grew painfully still after God's word. its breath in morning. Adam and Eve stood together, trembling, the weight of their choice settling onto their shoulders like a cloak made of stone. They had never known heaviness until now. They had only ever lived in lightness of heart, of body, of spirit. But innocence had slipped through their fingers, and its absence hurt more than any wound. Then God moved toward them not with thunder or wrath, but with heartbreak. There was grief in every step, sorrow deep enough to echo through eternity. And yet, intertwined with the grief was love so fierce, it made the air hum. And from the earth, he formed garments soft, warm, made from the skins of an animal whose life had just ended. Adam felt the weight of it in his hands. Innocence had never cost blood before. Eve stared at the garment, tears blurring her vision. God covered them gently, as a parent covers a child before sending them out into the cold. Adam felt the warmth of the garment, but it didn't comfort him. It only reminded him of what had been lost. "Walk with me," God said. They followed him through the garden, their garden knowing every step was a goodbye. The trees they named, the river they played beside, the flowers that bowed when they passed. Everything felt distant now. Creation recoiled from them, not with hatred, but with heartbreak of its own. When they reached the eastern gate, Adam felt his chest tighten painfully. Eve's hand slipped into his, fingers trembling, seeking strength he wished he still possessed. God stopped. The air around him glowed with sorrow and holiness intertwined. "Because of what you have done," he spoke, voice steady yet heavy, "pain will follow you. The ground will resist you. Life will be born with suffering, and death will cast its shadow over all living things." Eve's breath broke. Adam closed his eyes. "But I have not abandoned you." The words struck them like a beam of light through storm clouds. "You will walk a harder road." God continued, "But you will not walk it alone. My promise remains. One day, a child born of your lineage will rise. He will bear the weight of this fall and break its power." Hope flickered inside them, small, trembling, fragile but alive. Then God lifted his hand. A blazing flame ignited beside the gate, bright as the sun, sharp as a sword. A cherub stood guard, radiant and terrifying, blocking the way back into Eden. The message was clear. The world they knew was sealed behind a wall of fire. Adam's knees weakened. Eve leaned against him, sobbing silently. Then God spoke one final time. "Go, begin again." And with hearts breaking and hearts hoping, they stepped into the unknown.